So there's a right way and a wrong way to onboard and build relationships with models and clients when it comes to OnlyFans management. The wrong way is only hitting them up and only messaging them when you, as the OnlyFans manager, need something yourself. The right way is when you're proactive about all communication. But what does that really mean? Our agency, one of the strongest points that we really try to emphasize is model relationships, and we do this by having a rock solid onboarding process. We're always transparent with every single decision that we make when it comes to our models' accounts on OnlyFans, and this is because we understand that this is their livelihood too. It's not just ours, and I think that's something that gets overlooked by a lot of, especially newer agencies. It's all about the new agency. It's not really about the model. From the moment you get your first model to sign with you, you need to be reinforcing the idea that they signed with the right agency and that they are going to be able to trust you. If you come in with a terrible onboarding process, they're probably not going to trust you, and it's not going to be the best relationship. She might end up leaving you a lot earlier than you really expected. So in this video, I really want to just explain and go into everything from A to Z when it comes to building a rock solid relationship with your model up front when it comes to onboarding. Hey, I'm Patty OFM, your friendly neighborhood OnlyFans manager, managing girls in the top 1% and helping other OnlyFans management agency owners achieve their dreams of growing, scaling, and optimizing their own OnlyFans management agencies with the absolute best processes out there. Shoot me a follow and a DM to my Instagram, which is in the description of this video, and let's connect on Telegram. So first, it's important to realize and recognize that OnlyFans management is a service-based industry. So what this means is that your ability to provide good service and build a strong relationship is going to directly correlate with other aspects of what your agency does, and ultimately your ability to drive results for your clients. Your onboarding process is essentially the first contact that your model is going to have with your agency, so it's important to really nail this and build that trust up front. The impact of having a good and thorough and organized onboarding process is that your model and client is going to reciprocate that, and they're going to be a lot more motivated to really work with you, and it's just going to be a healthier communicative relationship. If you have a shit onboarding process right up front, they're going to be a lot less motivated to work with you, and it's probably not going to work out the way that you want it to. So to start off, your model is either going to be brand new to OnlyFans or she's going to have an existing account. If she's brand new, what you'll need to do right off the bat is, of course, get your contract signed. I have a video explaining what goes into a solid OnlyFans management contract. You can go ahead and check it out if you'd like. But then you also want to get her details to actually create her account as well. And what this includes is a copy of her ID. You want to make sure she's 18. Don't really need to explain why. It's super important. Don't want to get in trouble with anything like that. Get her actually verified on OnlyFans. That's obviously extremely important. That's how she makes money. And then make sure that she gets her banking information on there as well. Don't use online banks like Wise. Wise actually doesn't really work very well with OnlyFans, anything to do with the adult industry. So don't use Wise, use like a brick and mortar bank. If she already has an OnlyFans account, it's actually a lot easier. All you really have to do is, of course, once again, get the contract signed, but get her login credentials and log into her account and make sure all of the content is what you need, and just make note of what you might need to ask her for in terms of your ability to sell. And if there's some shit content on there, just delete it, get it out of there so your chatters don't sell it. So next, you're going to want to schedule that initial onboarding call and run it with the model. This is that first impression that I was talking about before, and ultimately how you're going to establish trust with your model. So it's important to really drive this home and really do a good job with this onboarding call. Some of the things that you should be conscious of and should be addressing on this initial call is first, just the model's mindset when it comes to working with you, and just some of their expectations and what they should be thinking while they work with you as the agency. Additionally, you need to be making sure that they're aware of the fact that you are going to be asking for a lot of content up front. And the reason for this is because you need certain pieces of content to fit in with some of your strategies and the ways that you drive traffic to their account, as well as how you're going to sell on their behalf in their OFDMs. You also need to establish some sort of a timeline and expectations as to when they should be able to receive the results that you claim that you're going to be making for them. We typically set expectations of around 3 months. A lot of times it's a lot faster than that, but it's important to set some sort of timeline around that so that they can hold you accountable, and you can hold yourself accountable as well for them. Additionally, you need to be invoicing them, and you need to explain the invoicing schedule that you would set up on their behalf. Like, do you invoice them every week? What does that look like? And also, I've mentioned this before, always invoice your clients. It's a way to build trust, but they're also not going to run if you provide a quality service. If you're consistently providing them results, that would be ridiculous of them to leave. Why would they just take one payment and run from that one payment and then lose the ability to work with you if you can make them 10 months of money? It makes no sense. So that's why you should always be invoicing. Then I guess the last couple of things that are kind of obvious is make sure you get the credentials to log into their social medias and their OnlyFans. Which probably should already have the OnlyFans from the first part of this video. But the very last thing is Q&A. Open the floor to the model. Let them ask questions about anything to do with your agency. During this initial phase with your model, you should also be identifying communication expectations. So how are you going to communicate with your model? Are you going to communicate through just like a group text, or is it going to be through WhatsApp or Telegram? Telegram seems to be the most common in this industry just because it's universal, and if you're working, internationally, it just seems like it's the most simplistic way to communicate across the board, whether it's with models or people that work for you. And then also make sure you establish the times that you are able to be reached by the model, and also on the flip side, when are you able to reach the model? Like, when does she go to bed? Like, what's her time zone? All of that type of information is important so that if you text her outside of those hours, you aren't expecting an answer back immediately. So the other thing that you need to make sure that you're addressing during this initial phase with your model is setting and understanding content expectations. So first off, you need to spend a little bit of time asking questions about how your model goes about creating content. Like, for example, do they go out and create a bunch of content all in one day, like on a weekly basis, or do they spread it out? What does that look like? That'll help you kind of set the right expectations for yourself as to when you're going to receive the content that you potentially need for some of the work that you're going to do for her. You also need to explain to the model what types of content you will likely need, which includes things like scripts, so like live content that you could sell via sexting sets in the DMs for OF. You also need to have PPV bundles and videos that you can use to mass message out. And then you need to have a surplus of safe for work content that you can use on platforms like Reddit and Twitter and Instagram, things to really promote the model's account. You should be providing some sort of content schedule to them on a weekly basis as to what you would likely need for that following week, something just to give them guidance on how to really stay focused around the content that they make. And also make sure that you give advice when it comes to creating content. You want it to be professional and you want it to be high quality. You don't want it to be super professional, but it needs to be decent quality. You don't want to be selling shit on behalf of the model. And then the last thing when it comes to content requests is verification posts. So Reddit has a lot of different subreddits that you need verifications for. So getting that type of content up front so that you can really, really promote them on things like Reddit and Twitter obviously has something like that as well, would be essential as well. By the way, on that topic of content quality, there are several key things that you should be advising the model on that I really wanted to take a moment to just emphasize. First of all, it kind of goes without saying, but lighting is probably the #1 most important thing when it comes to taking high quality content. Make sure that you're using at least a ring light or some sort of studio light when it comes to especially making those longer form videos, and make sure you're advising the model on this. Sexting sets, stuff like that, maybe you don't need as professional lighting. Maybe you want to just be a little bit more sneaky about the lighting and make it not so obvious that you're taking, a professional sexting set, lighting set. But the other thing is make sure the audio quality is good. and there's no like background noise or anything, that's going to distract the fan or whoever is looking at the content from the model itself. And on that note, make sure that the background of the videos and the pictures and everything doesn't have a bunch like a mess or garbage or just things that could distract anyone from the model being the focal point. And then the last thing is just having variety, like advising the model that it needs to be a bunch of different outfits and different angles and different lingerie and different even locations. Like if you can get some outdoor shots, great. Stuff like that. That'll all go really long way when it comes to the quality of the content that the model is making. Next, during this initial, onboarding phase when it comes to your OnlyFans management agency and bringing on a new model is that you're going to want to strategize and explain to your model from a high level what you're going to be doing to drive traffic to their page and selling on their behalf. I know that a lot of OnlyFans managers like to kind of keep this close to their heart and not really tell anyone because they're worried about it getting leaked. But in reality, the model most likely isn't going to do this anyway. It's going to help build trust and show what you're doing, especially if you're a new agency and they're maybe your first model. Like I've explained in previous videos, like you need to have your shit together when it comes to driving traffic to the model's pages before actually signing one. So you most likely are going to need to explain something from a very high level. And also just make sure that you give updates, whether they're good or bad in terms of their account. You don't want to just make it seem like everything's going perfectly and them to figure out something's wrong on their own, because that's going to be just relationship destroying. In this industry, it's not all rainbows and flowers at all times. There's going to be issues that you run into. And because this is your model's livelihood as well, you need to keep them informed as to anything that happens. Last couple things you really want to be mindful of during this initial phase is that you want to build out some sort of model profile for your clients. And what goes into a model profile is, number one, you need to understand their chatting style, especially if they're running their existing OF account and you need to transition their chatting style to your chatters so that they don't screw up the relationships and completely change how they speak. So that needs to be included on the model profile, but also just little things like their height, age, bra size, feet size, astrological sign, hobbies, things that just naturally get brought up during these conversations. You need to have some sort of documentation on all of this so your chatters can reference it and then go in and have solid conversations with the fans. The other thing that you are going to want to make sure that you have set up is a professional way to store all of their content and access all of their content in a place where they can actually go in and upload their content as well. Something like Dropbox, Google Drive works great as well. I personally prefer Dropbox just because it seems like it's the easiest to use, but you can use either. And then lastly, you really want to set up a cadence of calls, like on a weekly basis, where you get on a Zoom or get on some sort of call with the model, you see them face to face, and you explain what's going on. You give them a proper update around what exactly is going on, and also reciprocate any changes that you hope that they would make with regard to any content that they make, just anything you can possibly think of. It just helps build a relationship as well when you're seeing them on a weekly basis. So make sure you do that. But all in all, the onboarding and this introductory process and how the model responds to all of this is going to tell you a lot about the quality of client that you have. It's going to be a kind of a passive byproduct and passive benefit of you going through everything that I've kind of discussed on this video. If they're flaky, or they don't respond very good, or they take forever to respond, or they don't implement criticism or implement feedback, or they just don't take criticism well, you most likely don't have a very high quality client who can reach, the top 0.1% or whatever it is that you're aiming for. The thing about it is that when you're new, you kind of have to work with whoever you can get. And as you get deeper and deeper into OnlyFans, you can take these lessons that you learn from just working with a variety of different types of models and know what to look for and what to look out for when it comes to future clients. But I mean, all in all, the onboarding process is really just meant to build trust and establish yourself as a solid resource and someone that the model that you're working with can go to, and ultimately eliminate any sense of buyer's remorse that they might have and confirm that they're working with the right people. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. And if you made it this far, I would really appreciate a like and a comment. And if you could subscribe as well, love that. I have my Instagram in the description of the video, and also my email if you have any business inquiries or any questions as well. Happy to answer anything that way. But yeah, I'm going to be coming out with a lot more videos. Look out for another one next Saturday. Seems like Saturday is the day that I like to come out with these videos. So I'm just going to make a habit of doing that. But yeah, appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys soon. See you.